Hello, hello. How you guys doing? Hello. I see there's 15 of you on. It's been a while since I've seen you guys. How was your Thanksgiving? Can you guys hear me okay? Hey, Dorothy. Hello, Tiola. Hey, Chastity. Elaine, Bella Rose. Can you guys put in the chat where you're all from? Well, most of y'all already know. Chastity, where are you from? Dorothy. Tiola. Successful Mama. Hello, Successful Mama. Bella Rose is from New York. Chastity is from Texas. Okay. Ooh, Tia's all over from North Carolina. Milwaukee. Okay. Winnipeg. Where's that at? Is that a different country? Where's Winnipeg? And in Massachusetts? South Carolina. Yay. I'm actually in South Carolina right now. I'm traveling. I'm in Anderson. All right. Just moved to Dallas. Okay, boss lady. Hello, hello. All right, so today is Supernatural Money Monday. Hey, Shaquasia, you're from, you're in North Carolina. Successful Mama is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Ooh, Canada. Oh, okay, that's where that Winnipeg is. It's in Canada. Okay, I went to Nova Scotia, Canada. I really, really liked it. Like really liked it. Like I might end up getting a property there or something. All right, Nebraska. Yay! Who's an I in South Carolina? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, I had a vacation, so I think I'm feeling refreshed. I think that's what that is. All right, so it's Supernatural Money Mondays, guys. So you guys can ask any questions pertaining to money or business. It could be supernatural business, whatever. Um, you guys can ask those questions, and then remember that I'm not asking every single question, but I'll do my best to answer. She'll put up the ones that we feel like are the best to answer. So if you put your question in there and it doesn't get answered, don't put it in there like a whole bunch of times. We will get to it maybe in the next one, or keep in mind we can't answer every single question because there's a bunch of you guys. All right. So the first question we have today is, and for those of you who I didn't get to see last week, uh, hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. Okay, I know y'all probably saw the post. All right, so this is a past question from the last video that we had on the Supernatural Money. She's asking, what is considered a good bank? I think this is a good question. I think a lot of times when we think about starting our business, we don't necessarily even think about our bank. Most people just go to, well, I've always banked with this certain bank, so I'll just kind of go with them. I think one of the good things to consider when you're looking for a good bank, and then guys, keep in mind I'm going to give you guys a disclaimer. I'm not giving financial advice. I am not a financial consultant. I am a business consultant. All right. I'm giving you my opinion, and based on what I think you should do based on my opinion and my experience. All right. So this question is asked, what is considered a good bank? For me, one of the first things I look for in the bank is like what type of investments do they have? Besides just business accounts. Number one, what type of business accounts do they have? Do they have any type of accounts, that allow your money to grow while it's sitting in there, or is it just regular savings accounts that they have, or checking accounts that they have? So that's one of the things I like to look at is what other types of bank accounts do they have? Do they have investment type of accounts? Do they have any type of accounts that allow your money to grow? What are their fees like? Okay, that's another thing I like to pay attention to. Is like, okay, do they have like really high fees um, when you're banking there? Because you do need to think about the fact that when you're banking somewhere for your business, you're probably going to be using that bank, to run payroll and just different things that you're going to be using that bank for. So you want to look at fees and things like that. If depending on the type of business that you have, you need to look at, if you're going to be doing a lot of wire transfers or maybe big transactions that require wire transfers, look at what your bank charges for wire transfers. Because if it's something that you're doing a lot, definitely don't want to have a bank, that charges a lot for it, because that's going to be a lot of money going out of your pocket there. So just little things like that you want to look for as far as for a good bank. Now, as far as from a business perspective, now from a personal perspective, um, you just want to look at what type of investment um, accounts do they have, and even maybe things for your kids. Do they have any type of accounts that you could maybe have along with your kids, or maybe save for your kids to go to college, or different things like that? So just those different things. Those are the things that I compare. I compare their fees. I compare, just the way that they run and do business. I look at their hours. That's another big thing. Um, I remember, because you would think that all banks have like, just like hours that are the same, but that's not necessarily the case. There are some banks that are open later, and then there's some that close early. So depending on how you're running business, I know if you're doing like a cash type of business where you have to literally take bags of cash to go deposit in the bank, then you want to look at the hours of that bank. Are they open? When your employees are closing and ready to go to the bank. So there's different things like that you'd want to look at for your bank. So again, not a financial advisor, just giving you my opinion and what I think based on my experience. So I'll give you guys that disclaimer. All right. Next question is from Joyce. Is it still too late to invest in your restaurant? And what other projects do you have for people to invest in, like ATM machines, etc.? Great question, Joyce. Right now, I think we're on the seventh we have a wait list for the restaurant all the way through the seventh location right now. You can still get on the wait list. You don't have to have your $1,000 to get on the wait list. However, we do need to have your information readily available, because we are going to open them up pretty quickly once the first one is opened. So it's not too late. You can get with Teresa if you're already in the community. Get with Teresa so that she can send you, meet with you, and then give you the details that you need to be able to get on the list. Let her know you want to get on the list. Right now, the wait list is all the way through the seventh location. We are in the process of looking at a couple of spaces and doing a proposal on one of them soon for our first location. So it's just a matter of securing the space for our first location right now. Everything else is in place and ready to go. So no, it's not too late to invest in Steak Aroma, our steak restaurant that's opening up. And then remember, guys, this was why I was saying every one of you should be in Patreon, because when I have any new business opportunities that come up, I'm going to be releasing them in Patreon. Okay, and there's a reason for that. I'm going to be releasing those in Patreon. Things like she says, I do have two programs coming up that I'm working on. They're going to be basically be courses. One of them is going to be how to start your own ATM business so you can have passive income. And then the other one is going to be how to start your own Airbnb business for passive income as well. So those two are going to be coming up. But when the information for that is released, it's going to be released on a video in Patreon. Okay. So just kind of making sure we're having a little bit closer knit community there. So it's going to be inside of the community if you're in the community, but it's also going to be Patreon. So it's not too late for that, guys. If you're still interested in investing in steak aroma. Oh, one thing that I did want to point out though for steak aroma, the first location, we had 25 people put in $1,000 each. Now, keep in mind, now that we're at the seventh, like kind of like the seventh location, or for the wait list, it's not going to be $1,000. Eventually, it's going to go up because the market that we're opening it in now is in Virginia, and because I know this market and I've done a lot of business here, we are able to do it for less money. Now, keep in mind, if we open up a restaurant in like Chicago or New York or something, it's everybody's going to have to put in more than $1,000. So keep that in mind when you guys are getting on the wait list for the future locations that are coming up. It may require a little bit more than $1,000. So just keep that in mind, depending on the market that we're opening it up in. We have to be able to raise the money to be able to fit whatever market. The first one for the first four locations, those are all going to be in Virginia. So those will all still be at the $1,000 mark. Anything beyond that, it could change depending on the market that we decide to open it up in. So just keep that in mind. All right. Well, hopefully, I answered your question. But yes, there's some good stuff coming up for you guys to be able to get some passive income that I'm working on doing courses for you guys. I'm trying to duplicate myself, guys, because everything that I'm teaching right now, like the experience of currency, I'm the one that's actually physically teaching the class. So for the ATM business and for the Airbnbs, I'm just going to do it as a course. And then you guys can go through the course. And literally, it's going to be live on video where you can actually do it with me. But without me having to, I can only be one place at one time. But it'll be, all of that will be released in Patreon once those come out. All right, next question is from Didi. When receiving unexpected funds, how should we initially view this money? Tithing is first. So what should we do with the rest? It depends. Okay, are you talking about money that you just got as a gift? Are you talking about tax refunds? Are you talking about you said unexpected funds? Okay, so I would just assume maybe something that's like a gift. So if you're getting unexpected funds or just maybe like a big chunk of money that came in that you weren't expecting to come in, I would do your tithe first, of course, and then I would do a seed. I would do a seed, and then if it's like it depends too. Like, let's say, for example, if it was like money that you got for your business that was unexpected, then you want to do a first fruit, especially if it's like the beginning of your year or if it's a new business that you're starting or new venture that you're starting that you got that money from. Then you want to do like a first fruits in addition to um, having the your tithe. If you guys pay attention to the text where Cain and Abel brought their offering, it was very key thing in the text was the fact that he brought the firstlings of his flock. So that was actually talking about this first fruit offering. So it was like the first one out of his flock. So it's kind of the same thing. So if you have a new business or any type of new venture, and if those unexpected funds came from a new venture or something new that you're going to be kind of making money from, then you also want to do a first fruit in addition to your tithe. If it's just random money that didn't come from business or anything, just somebody just gifted it to you, then you want to do a tithe, offering, and a seed. Those are the three main things. Now, I like to do seeds, but when you do a seed, make sure you're naming your seed. Make sure you're actually giving the seed for something specific, or giving that seed a specific purpose. I think one thing that a lot of people do is they just sow seeds and they don't even think about actually giving the seed a name, right? So, say for example, if you give and then it's going to be given back to you, pressed down, running over, shaking together, and shall men give unto your bosom. Sometimes it's good to be clear on what you want back, or to be clear on what that seed is specifically there for. What you're sowing the seed for, which is where I think scriptural giving is very powerful too. If you're giving that seed, because you want to see breakthrough, then you need to find a scripture and breakthrough, and then give your seed according to that scripture. If you're giving that seed because you want to see generational curses broken, which you don't really need to give a seed for that, then you want to give according to a scripture that has something to do with that. So that's what I would say, Didi. If you have unexpected funds, do your tithe, but also do offering, and then I recommend a seed as well. And then that seed needs to be specifically given some type of purpose. You need to say, I'm sowing the seed for this reason. so that they know what to do with it in the realm of the spirit, and it's not just sitting there, untargeted, so to speak. Okay. So, because a lot of people do that. I know a lot of people who do that. But like, well, I sowed the seed, nothing happened. Did you specify what you wanted to happen with the seed? You know what I'm saying? Because keep in mind, in the natural, when you have a seed, that seed is automatically has the specifications in it. For example, if I plant an apple seed, it already has the specifications of the apple, um, in it, right? So when I plant it, what's going to come up? If you plant an apple seed, the orange tree is not going to come up, right? It's going to be apples. And it's the same thing. We don't think about that in the realm of the spirit. When you're sowing a seed, it doesn't necessarily have a certain DNA already in it because it's not an apple seed or an orange seed. It's a financial seed. So you need to use the power of your tongue and give it a designation, of what you want to see from that seed. Okay, so a lot of us don't see anything because we don't say anything. You have not because you ask not. Okay, give your seed a specification, guys. All right, so you can start seeing some return from it because I know so many people do that. Just sow seeds just because they got up and said everybody saw a $25 seed. You need to give your seed a purpose and name what you want to receive, um, from your seed. All right, next question is from Shaquasia. What advice would you give to a single parent living paycheck to paycheck and wanted to start a business? How should we begin? Shaquasia is going to depend. It's going to vary depending on the type of business that you're trying to or thinking about opening up. Okay, so say for example, if you wanted to do a business, I don't know, baking cookies. Okay, now that's a pretty easy business to start because it does have very, very low overhead. You can just get your ingredients, bake your cookies as people order it. Um, then if you wanted to, start a real estate business, that's a whole nother ballgame, right? Because you actually need funds to invest. So it depends on the type of business that you're trying to open. For a single parent that's living paycheck to paycheck, I think I've talked about this before. One of the things that you want to do is if you need extra funds to be able to open up a business or whatever else extra that you're trying to do, I always suggest that you find something to sow into. Okay, because the fastest way to multiply your money is by making it seed. Because the word can't return void, guys. If he says, give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall men give unto your bosom. You have a set amount of money. What you want to do is take a piece of that and find something to sow into. Because when you give that little bit, then it's going to be pressed down, shaken together, and running over and given back to you. And that will give you that extra money that you need now to take and go invest in starting a business or something else. So the very, very first thing that I suggest, and I will always say this, is finding something to sow into, whether it's a charity, for orphans, widows, whoever, something that you are passionate about. Find something to sow into and start being consistent with it. Now, understand it's not the amount. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's $5 a month, okay, or $10 a month, or $100 a month. It doesn't matter. The principle still works. I want y'all to catch that. Doesn't necessarily, in order to operate in this, doesn't mean you have to have a whole bunch of extra money. If you have an extra dollar a month and you're consistent with sowing that dollar, into that charity or whatever ministry the Lord leads you to sow it into, you are going to see the word come forth where that money will be pressed down, shaken together, running over, and given back unto you. And you'll see the Lord begin to open doors. One thing that I say all the time is when people are in a situation where they just see a little bit, you don't have a money problem. You have a perspective problem. Okay, I really want y'all to catch that. You don't have a money problem. You have a perspective problem. It's just a matter of allowing the Lord to show you, where do I need to take this and plant it so I can see it multiplied back to me. Okay, because understand, whenever you have just enough, you are in the perfect place for the supernatural. And if you prayed right now and said, Lord, give me a miracle, you're going to get two ways that he's going to answer you. One, he's going to give you an opportunity to give. He's going to send you somebody that's in need. right? Or number two, it's going to give you instructions. Okay, so that's the thing. That's what happens all the time. People will pray, Lord, I have just enough. I need a miracle, and they're sitting around thinking something's going to fall in their lap. No, the next thing you're going to see is somebody to give into or instructions to follow, because that's how God answers when it comes to that. He gives you an opportunity to bless somebody and to sow into something that has nothing to do with you. That's why Jesus stepped into his hour. Remember when they needed to turn the water into wine, they came to Jesus and he said, It's not my hour yet. My hour has not come. But because he stepped out to fulfill a need that had nothing to do with him, he stepped into his hour. And that was his first miracle. Okay, I want y'all to really catch that. So when you pray for God to expand you or enlarge your territory, He's going to give you one or two things, either instructions of something to follow, or two, He'll send you somebody who is in need that you need to sow into. Because that's just how the kingdom works. Okay. So don't be shocked when you pray for something and you don't see the thing you pray for, but you see an opportunity to sow. That's just how it works. Okay. There's laws and they work. All right, next question is from Gail. Hi, patients. What do you think about high ticket versus low ticket network marketing? Um, this is very vague, Gail, because there's a lot of different types of network marketing companies. Some I endorse, some I don't. Just depends on what they sell and the level of integrity that they operate in. So I need a little bit more for your question, Gail. So are you saying, what do I think about high ticket versus low ticket, period? Not just in network marketing or just across the board? Because I think that they each have a place, but it depends on the type of business that you're doing. Some businesses, it doesn't make sense to have a low ticket offer. Some businesses, it does. So again, I would need more specifics on like what type of business exactly is it? What is it that you're selling? What does your market look like? Okay, what does your overhead look like? How much does it cost to actually make whatever you're selling, or to produce it, or to manufacture it? All of those things come into play when it comes to knowing whether you should have a high ticket offer versus having a low ticket offer. Um, just to kind of give you an idea, Gail, now this is not even pertaining really to network marketing, but we had someone who was interested in, let's say he had an idea, who it was kind of like an invention idea, but he was like, okay, well, what do I do with this idea? I have this idea, how do I get, basically how do I make money from this idea? And like, so in his mind, because I'm trying not to like be too specific, so I know what I'm talking about. In his mind, because somebody in his family had come up with the idea, it was very valuable to him because it's like, well, my great great grandpa, whoever came up with this idea, so I'm going to, just pour all this money into it without really looking at what it can actually make for me. So in his mind, it was so valuable because of the sentimental value. But I had to be very blunt with him, like, okay, yes, you have an idea, but as long as it's still in the form of an idea, it's no good to an investor, okay? Because you need to take the idea and turn it into something that can make the lives of people better, into a product. When you show me that idea working in the form of a product that makes people's lives better, now you have something that you can present to an investor and they can see how they would make their money back. You cannot have somebody, you can't bring an idea and expect somebody to invest in your idea because it's an idea, because you're selling an idea. You can't sell an idea. You need to take that idea and turn it into a product that makes people's lives better. Then now you have something that is tangible that people want to invest in, because they can see, okay, well, this idea that they had, it does work in this product that makes people's lives better. So now I can see as an investor, okay, if I invest in this, I can see directly how I'm going to get my money back because I have something to sell. If you just bring me an idea and want me to invest in it, it's going to make no sense, because now I'll have to put the money into it to test it out and to see if it actually works, to try it in different products. You need to have all that done first and have something that makes people's lives better birthed out of your idea. Now you have something that people want to look at. But even with that, let me go back to your question again. Low ticket versus high ticket, I think they could both work. It just depends on the market. It depends on your overhead. It depends on the cost to produce whatever it is you're selling. It would be a specific. I would have to give you a specific answer based on whatever specific thing that you're, or whatever type of network marketing it is. I can't give you, a yes or no on either one. Either one could work depending on the market and what you're selling. So hopefully that answers your question. If you want to give me a little bit more detail, like maybe the specific type of network marketing, I can give you a little more on that. All right. Next question is from Bella Rose. How soon after launching a business can you see decent profit, or is there always a wait stall period? This is a really good question, Bella Rose, because I think a lot of times when people open up a business, they assume they have like this, kind of like we do with relationships, right? We have like this rose petal glasses on, where we expect things to just be perfect, and everything just, and that's just not life, right? So we need to keep that in mind too, even when you're opening up or launching a business. Understand when you're opening up a new business, especially if it's something that's new to the market. Now, if you're reselling something, like your, you know, paparazzi jewelry or something that's already been tested in the market, that's different. You can start seeing profits immediately. But when you're bringing a new product or a new idea to the market, you want to give that idea time, because understand that new business is almost like a new baby, right? You can't give birth to the baby today and expect it to be able to take care of you tomorrow. You're going to have to sow into nurturing that baby and growing the baby. And then eventually the baby is going to grow big enough to be able to take care of you, right? But we need to look at it from that perspective and not just have, the rose petal glasses on. Well, I have a business now, so I'm just going to be rich. You have to take the time to actually, business is not for the faint of heart, guys. It is not for the faint of heart, because things don't always go exactly the way that you planned it to or expect it to. And I think that you have to know how to coast. It's almost like you have to learn how to ride the waves, um, of it to really see the fruits, of your labor in business. And you have to be willing to stick with your business and to believe in it enough, that you're willing to give it your all, and put your all into it. So as far as a time frame, they say that most businesses, take about 24 months, for you to really start seeing profit. Again, this is the reason why I'm a very, very strong advocate for not starting your business with debt, because the more debt you start your business with, the longer it's going to take for you to get on the side of profit, right? So this is the reason why I like to teach people God's way of doing it and a supernatural way of doing it. Starting out with sowing, so God can give you that extra, and then using that to open up your business without debt. Because if you open it up without debt, the sooner you'll be able to see some profit, because now you don't have to worry about paying all this money back. So Bella Rose, the average is about 2 years from the time that you start your business to the time where you actually start seeing return, from your investment, which is still not bad, considering if you give birth to a baby and in 2 years they're able to take care of you, that's pretty good. So, but again, you have to be willing to, stick with it, put your all into it, do the research that you need, hire the people that you need, and you'll see the results. Again, keep in mind that could be a lot faster depending on whether the product that you're selling has already been tested in the market. Okay, if you're selling something, that's already been tested in the market, you can see, you can see profits tomorrow. It just depends. I say if you go sell Mary Kay, you're gonna see, a return right away. Why? Because it's already been tested in the market. If you're doing a brand new product or a brand new idea that has not been tested in the market yet, I would say 24 months, 24 months or so, especially if you don't have a lot of overhead and you didn't start with a lot of debt. Okay, now it could go longer, obviously, if you started with debt or if you have a lot of overhead. All right, next question, I think it's from Timothy. Translation: how do you manage a business that is creating other business opportunities and stay on track without being overwhelmed? This is a really good question. How do you manage a business that is creating other business opportunities, and stay on track without being overwhelmed? The first way to manage anything without being overwhelmed is having structure. Guys, you guys have no idea how many places I've worked. I am like everywhere I've ever worked, I'm able to see the holes in the structure of the organization. Doesn't matter how big the company is. There's multi-billion-dollar companies that I've seen and I've done consulting with, and it's like, dude, there's a big hole right here. There's money going out of your back door. You don't even see it because of the lack of properly structuring, foundationally structuring it properly. When I say foundationally structuring it properly, when you are starting something that has the potential of being overwhelming, or takes a lot of your time, or requires a lot of different eyes to look at it, or requires a lot of people to be in it. Structuring it properly means that you are setting it up in a way that you already have the support system in place for it before you launch it. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Because I know people be trying to just do it as they go, and that creates a big problem because then when you get bigger or when it's time to scale, you don't know how to duplicate what you just did. That's why you have to start with the structure in place first. You start first with the structure. You want to look at, when I say structure, let me just kind of clarify that as well. Whatever service that you're providing, whether it's a service or a product, there is a clear roadmap from the point of the client hearing about that service to them actually getting the fulfillment of the service. So once you know that what that timeline entails, then you need to make sure you have all the structures in place. Everything from parts of it that needs to be outsourced to parts of it that may need to be automated to the parts of it where you need actually physical people to do. That whole timeline is the first thing that you need to look at when you're structuring, so that you can know what you need to have in place to properly be able to fulfill and to support that full process. Okay, if you don't do that, that's how you find yourself in a place where you're trying to do 10 different jobs. You try to fulfill, and you're trying to do marketing, and you're trying to do the meetings because you did not take time to look at your full client journey and get everything that you needed in place to support the full spectrum of it. That's what I mean when I say make sure you're having structure. Okay, we need to actually take the time. That's where planning comes in. Taking the time to plan. Okay, this is what I'm offering. What do I want my customer journey to look like? Do I have everything that I need in place to support that full process? Do I have enough of it automated that it will not overwhelm me? Do I have the help that I need so that it does not overwhelm me? You want to start your business with all of that already in place. You don't want to start, wait till you start growing first and then now you want to try to scale. You need to already have the systems in place from the beginning. So when you're ready to scale, it's easy. Okay. So how you do that, hopefully that answers your question, is by planning properly, making sure you have the systems in place and the structures in place to support the full spectrum of what it is that you're doing without you having to wear every hat along that journey. Making sure that's properly planned and you have the people in place and the parts of it automated that you need to, so that you're not overwhelmed. So planning, planning, planning. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question. Next question is from Bella Rose. Also, can you have a business where you don't have to show your face? Camera photos and just run it. Yes, you can, Bella Rose. There's a bunch of people who have businesses where you don't see their face. When you walk into Lowe's, I mean, you don't know the owner. I mean, I know the owner of Lowe's is black, it's African American, but um, yeah, there you can have plenty of businesses where people don't have to see your face. It depends on the type of business. Obviously, if you're doing like a consulting business, yeah, you're probably going to need to talk to the person yourself, or you can even hire people to do the consulting for you. But yeah, that's completely up to you whether you want to show your face in your business or not. It's completely up to you. You don't even have to name the business anything close to your name. You won't even have to. You can have shell companies, in a different countries that own the business. If you don't even want people to know that you own it. All right. So yes, you can definitely have a business where you don't show your face. Definitely, you can do that without having to have your camera photos and all that. No. Yes, definitely. You can definitely do that. And if you want to know how to do that and don't know how to do that, you can talk to me. All right. Next question is from Gail. Have you ever heard of Is not Enagic? I believe Holy Spirit downloaded this business and health product to me while praying in tongues, and it is also high ticket and been in business for over 40 years. Okay, yeah, if you are praying in tongues, Gail, and you know the Holy Spirit gave you um, a company, and even if it's a network marketing company, hey, I would, do my research on it, make sure I like the company, make sure they're a reputable company, make sure they've been around for a long time, make sure they treat people right, all of that stuff, look into those things. And if those things are in place, then yeah, I would think, then I would give it a shot. It sounds like it's a network marketing, like a health type of network marketing company. I've never heard of it. But if you do believe that the Holy Spirit downloaded that into you, then that may be an avenue that God is trying to bring you to, maybe to use to bring some wealth into your life. So yeah, I would still take the time though, guys, to look at all of the different things about the company, do your research on it and all of that first, before investing in anything, because I want you guys to understand that even if God gives you a name of something to work with, or even someone to work with, understand that you still need to do your due diligence. Okay, because human beings still have free will. Okay, there's something that's why I need to do a video even on like marriage. I believe all Christians should have a prenup, because human beings always still have free will. So if you're doing business with human beings, that's the reason why you still need to make sure you're doing contracts. I don't even care if God told you the name of the person you need to work with. You still need to have a contract. You still need to do your due diligence. You still need to do that, because human beings are still human beings. Okay, the same Peter that was chopping people's ears off for Jesus was denying him 3 times. Okay, the same night. Okay. So wherever there are human beings in place, you still need to do your due diligence, even if God gave you the name of that person or that company to work with. Still do your due diligence, still have your contracts in place, because you're still dealing with human beings. And we have free will, which is the greatest liability ever given to mankind. Okay. That's why even God had a backup plan, because he knew, okay, if we make man in our image, we got to give them free will. That might be a problem. And Jesus had already agreed to be the insurance policy from the beginning. He was like, okay, I'll buy the back. Because they already knew what we are going to do when he gave us free will. They already knew. Okay, you give a mankind free will, they're going to, yeah, have potential to go left field. Um, so yes, that's my advice to you, Gail. Even if you got it from the Holy Spirit, still do your due diligence on them, and make sure before you move forward with working with that. But that's pretty cool, though. I get that all the time. Praying in tongues, God giving you, a name, even for a company to work with. Dee Dee, I see you laughing. What you laughing at? All right. Next question is from Chastity. Should we still tithe even if experiencing a period of financial hardship, or is it better to wait until finances are back in order? This is a really good question. Y'all should already know the answer to this one. The whole reason why the hardships come is because the enemy wants you to stop tithing. Because if you stop tithing, now it opens the door for him to come in even more. Because think about it, guys. If let's say you're having some, financial hardship, and it doesn't seem like you have enough for everything, not paying your tithe is not going to give you that much more money. It's only 10%, guys. It's not going to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference in whether or not you have enough for everything. Okay, so I would pay the tithe and allow the Lord to rebuke the devourer for your name's sake, and then everything else should fall into place and get back in order. Because understand, tithing is a part of the order when it comes to finances in the kingdom of God. Okay, a part of financial order, tithing is included in that, for you to really be able to tap into all of that comes with the covenant that we have with God. I know people are like, yes, you don't have to tithe. You don't have to. But if you want to see all of the laws in action that work, the kingdom laws for financial blessings and the covenant and all of that, tithing is a part of it. You don't have to participate in it, but it is a part of it. And it is a part of having that order. So if you want And this is the thing. It's kind of like, well, if I stop tithing, but I'm waiting for my finances to get back in order. It's not going to get back in order until you start tithing again. So that's the thing. It's kind of a catch. Was it catch 22? Because it's out of order if you're not tithing. So essentially, if you close that door and stop tithing, now you're just opening the door for the enemy to come in more. You'll be waiting forever for it to get back in order because you just shut off the thing that had it in order. Essentially. So I want you to look at it from that perspective. That 10% is not going to make a difference. Okay, we go in a restaurant and give people 10% all day long and don't even blink. But then when it comes to our tithe, that's the thing that we want to pull back. Why? Why do we do that? But we're giving everybody else 10%. We don't even blink. We're giving the waiters, the waitresses, but then we want to pull God's money back. It's not like, really? So at the end of the day, that 10% is not going to make that much of a difference that you need to pull it back. I would keep that in place, keep that in order, and everything else will line up. Okay. Um, Next question is a past question. Why do you think there are three questions to ask yourself when wanting to start a business? Hmm? What do you think are three key questions to ask yourself when wanting to start a business? I think the three key questions would be why do you want to start this business? Um, what are your goals for the business? When I say what are your goals, I mean what is your long term plan for the business? Say, for example, even when I'm helping people establish the type of entity or even pick the type of entity that they want to do. One of the first questions I'm going to ask them is, well, what is your long term goal for this business? Is this something that you want to leave to your kids? Is this something where you just want to maybe build a company, you know, get the valuation up so that you can sell it and then use that money to retire? What is the long term plan for the business? That is key too, because even the way that you do business is going to be determined by that. Is it something that you're trying to leave to the generations behind you? Is it something that you're just trying to build and grow and sell? Or what is your plan for it? That definitely makes a difference. So that the second thing that I would ask. First thing I would ask is why do you want to do it? Second thing I would ask is what is the long term plan for it? Because that's going to determine a lot of things. And then the third thing I would ask is what resources do you need to actually be able to launch it? Do the research. Make sure you know exactly what you need. Make sure you are, not lowballing yourself or not blindsided. Okay, you want to make sure you're prepared. And like the scripture says, it's embarrassing to start building the house and then you run out of money and they're laughing at you, right? Because you didn't plan fully ahead and be fully prepared for the full project before you step into the project. So first thing you want to do, ask yourself why you want to start this. Second thing you want to do is figure out what the long term plan for it is. And then the third thing what you want to do is make sure that you are evaluating and planning, doing your pre planning properly so that you're properly prepared for what you're getting into. Learn everything you can about that business. Learn the bad part about it, the good parts about it. How much does it cost? What type of overhead is required? All of those things are the three things. Okay. So hopefully y'all got that. First thing to ask, why do I want to start this? Second thing to ask, what's the long-term vision for this? And the third thing is, what do I really need to start this with? And making sure you're not missing anything and doing as much research as you can on that. And when I say doing a lot of research, I'm not talking about, frozen, doing so much research that you just frozen and won't do anything. Now you're in fear. Okay. Yes, I want to clarify that too, because you got a whole bunch of people that's been in research for 20 years and they still haven't launched a business yet. No, not that. All right. Next question is from Sierra. I'm in logistics and I'm struggling with my finances. I had a trucking business and I shut it down due to diesel. I applied for jobs. Still, I got denied. What should I do? Hmm. So you had a trucking business. Do you still have any of the trucks, Sierra? I would like to know. Sierra, I would say right where you are right now, I think there's a new business opportunity that the Lord wants to give you. When you Can you put the link in there, Teresa, for her to book an appointment with me? It would be a 58-minute. So get with, or you can call the number on the screen, or you can call 757-918-9111. Call the number and book an appointment with one of our purpose development consultants. Because, like, if you had that type of business before, even if it's shut down, there's still a lot that we can do with that. Um, I have a lady right now, and she's doing a course on how to start your own trucking business, how to start your own successful trucking business. So understand, just because you don't have something anymore does not mean that if you haven't done it before, somebody else could not use that experience. Okay, you can still teach something. Okay, and make money from teaching, and not actually having to even do it yourself. And even while you're teaching, you can even create partnerships and now go back in business with partners. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that you could tackle this year, and I think your experience is the most valuable thing that you have. We just need to figure out how to leverage it. So if you can book an appointment with me, that'd be awesome. Yeah, because we could do a lot with that. Yes, and we can have you profitable. Okay, like really really soon. Like you're just having the experience. There's so much we can do with that, that we can get you going again. And I think this time, Sierra, I think when you launch again, I think you should be launching with some partners, with some business partners. But I would say start off first with trying to teach the experience that you have with having your trucking business, because you have no idea how many people are trying to open a trucking business right now, and they could use the knowledge that you have. Okay, and that's a great way also to gain business partners when you are their business coach. Okay, so uh, that's what I would do, Sierra. Take the knowledge that you have and start teaching it, and then use that avenue to make some partners, because you'll be meeting people who are already interested in it, and then launch it again. Except this time, not alone. That's what I would say. But go ahead and book an appointment with me, because there's some other ideas I have for you. There's some other things I think we could do together. So book that appointment. Let's have a deeper chat about that. All right. Next question is from Dee Dee. Under what circumstances would having a shell company be necessary for best interest? Um, so under what circumstances? I would say under all circumstances. But and I'm gonna tell you guys why, because there's a whole nother ballgame. It's good to set up your company in a way where it makes it almost impossible for you to be able to be sued. Simply because there's just so many people out there that are like, just hungry, money hungry for no reason. And it makes you a target when you have a business and things like that. So I think having a shell company is necessary, period. Especially if you're one that plans on having a lot of different businesses and really building, an empire of businesses. I would say having a shell company um, is necessary. And then also, if you're not one that likes for um, your business to be out there. For example, I never want anybody to be able to type in my name and see my net worth. Because of that, I set up my companies in a certain way. Okay, so things like that. If you want your business out there, hey, just put your name on everything. But that's another reason why a shell company would be necessary if you don't want people to be able to know who owns the business. You know, do it having that if you don't want all your business out there. Another reason, um, okay, for example, I had a young man who he had a pharmacy, and he wanted to take his pharmacy and turn it into a medical center. So helped him through the process and everything. But then when we were building his website for him to be able to sell the drugs, like the medications for the pharmacy, it was a really long process. And the reason why is because he wanted to be able to basically sell drugs that people could afford. Okay, so things that cost way more money here, he was able to sell cheaper. And he was even able to partner with like the health department in places where people who normally would have to pay way more for those drugs were able to get it at a better price. Now, for him, it made sense to have a shell company because he had property in another country where he could get the drugs cheaper. Okay, so it made sense for him to be able to have a shell company because he was able to get the drugs cheaper, to be able to sell it so people could be able to get their drugs cheaper here. So we had this to kind of structure his company in a way where he had several shell companies because some of his the land that he owned and everything and where he was getting everything from was international. Okay, so if you're trying to save money on some things and get it from another country where you can get it cheaper and kind of take advantage of that exchange rate, that's another reason to have a shell company and maybe have one that's internationally owned or that's owned in another country. So that's another reason too. If you're trying to manufacture something where it's cheaper to make it in another country, it's another reason to have a shell company. So there's a lot of different circumstances. I say all circumstances just because I think it gives you more privacy as far as not having all your business out there. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, next question is from Vibrant Immunity MD. Have patience to hire your first employee. What are the top qualities to look for in that person and the top questions to ask them to detect those qualities? Well, again, this depends on the type of company that you have, the type of culture you're trying to have. This is where it's very important to know what your company culture is. Okay, because if you know what your company culture is, if you already know what your values for your company is and what the culture is, then it'll be easy to hire people because now you're hiring people that you know fits or has the same values and has that and it has kind of has will fit that culture that you've already established. So the first thing I would do is first establish a company culture. Okay, establish, write down the values for your business. What do you want people to think of when they think about your company? What are the values, your core values? And then around those core values, you're going to build a culture, a company culture. And then you'll hire people that meets those values. Okay. Um, so, say for example, if you have, I don't know, a core value that says that you guys are, I don't know, energetic, trustworthy, and dependable. Okay, let's just say those are your three core values: energetic, dependable, and I forgot the other one. So now when you go to do interviews, you're going to look for people who fit those core values. Because if they don't fit the core values, then they're not going to fit the culture of your company. Okay, so that's how you want to do that. That's how you know. First, write down what your core values are. Build a company culture around it. Hire people that fit those core values. If they don't have those core values, then they're just not the right fit for you. Doesn't mean that they're not a great person, but if your core value says energetic and they're not energetic, then they're just not the right fit for the job. Nothing personal. Um, so that's what you want to do there. Is first have your core values, build your culture around those core values, and make sure you're doing your questions to make sure the people fit those core values and they have those same values that you have. If they have the same values, then they'll fit the culture that you have. All right. Next question is: have you ever regretted a business you started? I would have to say no. I don't think I've ever regretted any business I've started. I've started so many businesses, guys, and even the ones that didn't necessarily, work out or pan out um, the way that I wanted them to. I still don't regret them because there's so much that you learn, guys. There's so much that you learn from just doing versus just sitting on the sidelines. So you have so many people who are like, "Well, I don't know enough here to start it," or just doing research, doing research, doing research, and not actually getting out there and doing it. And they have never end up doing anything. Versus even if you jumped out there ahead of time, let's say you didn't do enough research and you messed up, you still learn. Okay, so the next time you come back around again to do that business or even to do another type of business, you have that experience. That's the difference. Once you have the experience, it makes a difference. It's kind of like sitting on the sideline saying, "Well, one day I'm going to learn how to swim," but you never jump in the water. When you jump in the water, yeah, you might have some scary instances of where you might feel like you're going to drown, or but there's going to be some things that you learn, and eventually you'll learn how to swim. So I consider every type of business I've ever opened up as part of that experience. And part of the reason why I have the wisdom that I do now and a successful business now is because I jumped in. I jumped in even before. I mean, I've been doing businesses, guys, since elementary school. Okay, so even so, yeah, I bumped my head lots of times. There were lots of things that I had to learn. Lots of things I learned the hard way. Um, yeah, lots of things I learned along the way, like making sure you have contracts, even if it's family members. So just lots of things. But and all of that comes from just doing it. Okay, whether some of it was good experiences and some of it were bad experiences, it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I got the experience. Okay, the experience. Experience is awesome. So you always learn something from the experience. So no, I do not ever regret. I don't regret any business I've ever started. So I have to be no to that one. All right. I'm sorry. I'm reading you some of y'all's questions over here, and I'm reading the screen. All right. Question from Patricia. Hi, patients. I would love you to pray for me. I work freelance at home as a graphic designer. It's been difficult to get clients. I've noticed I'm always jobless every 4 years. Sounds like that is. It does sound like a pattern. So let's see. Work from home as a freelance graphic designer. Hmm. So I mean, graphic design is kind of it can be a pretty tough industry, um, especially if you're new to it or you don't already have a lot of clientele. But I think it's just a matter of getting some marketing. Um, and of course, if you're getting jobless every 4 years, that's a cycle. Okay, whenever you see a cycle, that's an indication that there's some type of demonic activity there. Okay, so I would come in for deliverance first, so we can break the cycle. Because keep in mind, guys, you can be the smartest person in the world, you can have the best idea in the world. But if you have a demon that's sabotaging you or that's causing the same cycle of defeat in your life over and over, it doesn't matter. You need to get rid of the demon first. Okay, because it doesn't matter what you tried, it's just going to keep sabotaging. You'll still see the same cycles. So we need to get rid of the demonic strongholds from there first. Get rid of that generational curse. Get rid of that familiar spirit that's causing that cycle of joblessness every 4 years. So we need to get rid of that first. Deal with the spiritual thing first, um, and then after that, everything else usually falls into place. Because keep in mind, guys, a lot of times it's the spiritual things that's causing you to not know what to do in that specific situation. Because remember what I said, a lot of times it's not a money problem that you have, it is um, a perspective problem. Okay. And like your perspective changes when those demons leave. Trust me. When you go through deliverance and you get rid of that thing that's been holding you back and those cycles, it makes it so much easier now to be able to hear God, even on the instructions that He has for you. Because even those demonic hindrances are what keeps us from being able to hear God in the first place, and from being able to see that progression. It's the demonic things that's causing that cycle. Okay, and until that itself is broken, um, a lot of times it's hard. You stay in a place where you're stuck because you don't know what to do next, because that demonic stronghold is actually keeping you from being able to access what God has, and the divine instruction that God has for you to do next. All right. So hopefully that answers your question. I would come in, like I said, for deliverance to break that cycle. And then once it's broken, then you should have I guess, a clearer avenue to be able to speak to the Lord and hear God concerning what you're supposed to be doing for marketing for that graphic design business. Yolanda, your question is there such a thing as a serial entrepreneur? Yes, there is such a thing as a serial entrepreneur. I guess you could say I was a serial entrepreneur. Um, yeah, a serial entrepreneur is just basically somebody that is a serial entrepreneur. Like they've started a lot of businesses, they enjoy starting businesses and launching businesses. Um, so yeah, there is such a thing. Are you thinking that you're one? So yes, there is. It's just basically somebody that enjoys starting businesses. Um, Once you've done a couple of successful businesses, you do like it gets fun. It gets fun. So it's easy to become a serial entrepreneur. This next question is from Desmond. I'm trying to manage my money, but I don't know what to do after I tithe, and I want to give more, but I don't know what to give to, and I don't want to waste the rest of my money. Um, that's just a little bit of research, Desmond. So what you want to do there, if you don't know what to give to, research. Okay, guys. It's kind of like when you want to go out to eat and you don't know where to go. Don't you do some research? You go on, pull up your address, and you pull up the restaurants around you. You read some reviews, look at their food, look at the menu, and then you decide what you want to do. I think anything you really want to do, you're gonna do some research and figure it out. Okay, so if you don't know where to give to, do some research. What are you interested in giving to? Are you trying to, do you want maybe want to give to some homeless people? Do you want to give to orphans? Do you want to give, to children who, have cancer? Do you want to, like, what is your heart? What do you have a heart for? That's what you want to look for first. And then once you kind of have that thing that you have a heart for, then you do some research. What are some organizations that do this? Do some research on them, find the ones that you like, and then find something to give to. Okay, so guys, we complicate stuff. At the end of the day, if we really want to do something, we'll do it. If you want to give to something but you don't know what to give to, just sit down, think about it, get a piece of paper and write down, what are some things, what are some charities that I feel like I have a heart for that I would like to give to? And then just write those things down that you care about. Okay? Do you want to give to, puppies that are in the pound? Like whatever you have a heart for. Write them down and then look for some organizations that are already doing those things. And then you can start giving to them. All right. So it's not complicated, guys. It's all on Google. I'm sure if you're whatever it's just a matter of sitting down, actually looking at what you want to give to, what you have a heart for, and then doing some research on some organizations that are already doing it. Because trust me, there's already somebody doing it. Probably guarantee it. Some of the silliest stuff you can think of, people are doing. Okay. If you don't believe me, watch some of these YouTube videos with all these views. You'll be like, what? Did somebody actually watch this? But anyway, past question. How do I figure out what business I should do? I just want to start a business and be my own boss. Um, Again, I would do the same thing. You want to sit down and just think about what are some of the things that you're passionate about. What is something that I could do till I was 80 years old and it would not feel like work? I would enjoy doing it so much that it won't even feel like I'm working. Just get a piece of paper and write those things down. And if you haven't already gone through my free business workshop, it does take you through the full like the list of questions and everything that I take you through to help you figure out what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, it takes you through the Mind Your Business framework, where it actually takes you through to help you find that thing that you're fearfully and wonderfully created to do. So if you haven't gone to my free Kingdom Business Workshop, go to my website, go to business, and go back and watch the video, the rerun of the free Kingdom Business Workshop. I take you through the process of answering those questions that help you figure out exactly what you should be doing. Okay, so if you need and it's free. It's a free Kingdom Business Workshop. You can just go through it with me. It's a video. It's like an hour, and it takes you through that workshop. You go through that with me and answering those questions. By the time you finish answering those questions, you should have a better idea of what type of business you should be doing and what you want to do. If you need even more, if you have even more questions about that, then of course book an appointment with one of our purpose development consultants. Again, that's why they're called purpose development consultants. They help you figure out what your purpose is and what it is that you should be doing, even if you're not sure what you should be doing. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. All right, next question. I believe I have spirits of confusion and sabotage. I can't accomplish my entrepreneurial journey successfully. All right, so first thing I would do there is get in the Friend of God mentorship so that you can go through deliverance. Okay, because we do need to get rid of the demonic bondage. We need to get rid of the demonic bondage so that we can be able to see the fruits of what God is trying to do in our lives. So if you can put the link in there as well for her, or you can just give us a call to and book an appointment with one of the purpose development consultants so they can get you placed in the Friend of God mentorship program. So you can go through deliverance. I would like for people to be in the mentorship before you go through deliverance. Simply because like the Bible says the demons are going to try to come back. And so we like for you to be in mentorship so that you can learn the strategies that you need to, and learn how to be girded up and prepared, um, so that you're ready and to make sure nothing comes back, and that you can really be able to start seeing the fruits of the Spirit, and walking out and utilizing the power to get wealth, that God has already given you. So that's what I would suggest first. If you think you're seeing the cycles of confusion and sabotage, yes, definitely come into the Friend of God mentorship. Let's get you delivered. Because the way it works is you have to be a member of the mentorship, and then when you come to class, then I give you the link to book your deliverance appointment. Because I like to make sure you're already actually in the class. I never want to just cast demons out of you and send you on your way, and then they just come back. That's why we have a program for you to plug into. All right, next question. How do you get a positive cash flow every month? Okay. You get a job? Okay. I'm sorry, try not to be funny. But to get a positive cash flow every month, first you would get something that brings in income. Okay, whether that thing be a job or a business, or something that brings in some type of income. Then from there, well, if you want to have positive cash flow, then you probably need to be looking at your budget. Okay. Again, I'm not a financial consultant. Disclaimer: I'm a business consultant giving you my personal opinion here. All right. So, positive cash flow, you want to first make sure you have something that's bringing in income, be it a job or a business. Okay. If you want to make sure that income is positive at the end of the month and not in the negative, you need proper budgeting. Okay. You don't want to be paying out more than you have coming in. Something off. So that's where I would start with. I mean, I know it sounds very simple, guys. It sounds very basic. It's kind of common sense. If you want a positive cash flow, you need to have income coming in first. Then you need to be budgeting that income to make sure it's positive at the end of the month. Okay, that's not not rocket science, guys. And then if you need help with that, there's people that can help with that. There's even apps that you can use that can help you with your budgeting. They have budgeting apps. You can put in all the bills that you have. It'll show you, what if you have more coming in than you have going out and all of that. And if you have more going out than you have coming in, then you need to cut some things. Maybe you need to cut the cable and pray. Okay. Maybe you need to get rid of Netflix and pray. Okay. So you'll figure out somewhere that you can cut. Either you need to cut something or you need to bring in more income. Get a second job or something. So that's all it is, guys. Get a job or something that brings in the cash flow. If you want it to be positive, make sure you're budgeting correctly. If you need to cut some things so you can make it positive, great. If you can't cut some things, then maybe you need to increase your income by getting a second job or a business or something else, or some type of passive income, that can supplement your income. Okay, so it's a pretty simple one. Hi, patience. If God gives you a business, does that mean you have to be the one that runs it? I'm sorry. I'm laughing because, um, hmm, okay. Number one, it depends on the type of business, and if it's something that you can't afford to hire somebody else to do, then more than likely you're going to be the one running it. Okay, and if you have the money, to just hire people and start off with a whole crew of people, great. But most of the time, we don't, which means you're going to be the one that's going to be running it, until you can train somebody else to take your place to run it, until you can duplicate yourself. So, yes, if God gives you a business, you're going to be doing the business unless you have the money to be able to hire somebody and train them to do it on your behalf. But more than likely, you want to do it first, record yourself doing it, and then train others how to do it. And then you can just kind of replace yourself, and then you can back up out of it and just let them do it. That's the most cost effective way to do it. Now, if you just want to start it off with training people to do it, you can do that as well. Just make sure you have the budget for it. And then let's see, you can be the one. And yes, you can also be the one with an idea and not necessarily be the one to execute it. Again, that would depend on the type of business. Okay. For example, if it's an invention or something, and you're not necessarily maybe, if it's like maybe let's say you have an invention that's kind of maybe like a scientific type of idea, but you're not a scientist. Okay, yes, you're gonna need somebody else, to execute it for you. And then you can just kind of be the entrepreneur that is actually going to be selling it yourself, or you can just find a distributor to market it for you as well. So it just depends. Is it a product that you're bringing to the market? Is it an idea that you have, or is it something that you have to actually make and sell? So that's going to kind of determine, whether you're going to be doing it yourself and running it. But either way, you're going to be running it yourself at first, until you can hire somebody to run it for you, or until you can afford to hire someone to run it for you. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, next question is from Yolanda. When you replace yourself, is there ever fear they will take your idea and start their own and run you out of business? Again, that's why we have structure, right? When we're starting it, they need to be signing an NDA in the first place, okay? Okay, that's going to be a part of your structure. It's making sure you have your contracts in place. If you have something that you feel like people can try to use, they need to be signing an NDA and a non compete when you hire them. Okay? You need to make sure you have that in place, and then you don't have that fear. Again, it all goes back to proper planning and structuring your business correctly from the beginning, and then you don't have to worry about all of that stuff if you are structuring it properly, making sure you're having the right contracts in place. Simple fix, okay? NDA, non compete. Make sure all your employees are signing it. Then you don't have to worry about that. Okay? All right, next question is a past question. How do you come up with business ideas? I'm sorry, I'll be like, where y'all get these questions from? um, their ideas are everywhere. I mean, ideas are what make the world go around. One of the ways that I come up with them is from speaking in tongues, just praying in tongues. And keep in mind, guys, I have a lot of businesses in my book in heaven already. So when I speak in tongues, then they just kind of download it to me. And then also, a lot of times when people come to me, like for their appointments, when I have the Purpose Navigator book. For those of you who haven't found your purpose yet, if you haven't bought the Purpose Navigator book, make sure you get a copy of it, and then you can get a one-on-one meeting with me where I can actually try to read from your book in heaven and see, what God has for you that you're supposed to be doing. Now, because a lot of the stuff that God has for you is already in your book. Okay, so that's how you can come up with the ideas. The scripture says that God will give you witty ideas. Okay, so speaking in tongues is one of the ways that God will download into you witty ideas. Okay, because there's a lot of ideas. There's so many patent numbers in heaven. There's so many that God's been trying to give people they haven't invented down here. So many books He's given people that they haven't written yet. Look, there's so many. Okay, I promise you, if you just begin to pray in tongues and ask the Lord to give you an idea, He'll give you an idea. That's one of the ways that you get ideas. You can ask. Okay, even if you lack wisdom, the Bible says if you lack wisdom, let's ask. If you want an idea, ask. The Bible says He'll give you witty ideas. He can give you that. Okay, it's even God that gives you the spirit of intelligence. All right, so everything we have comes from God, including the ideas and everything that we have. I know people try to take credit for it and be like, "Oh, where was my brain?" No, because God needs your brain. But anyway, and all of that. But at the end of the day, guys, you can get ideas from getting into the secret place. God can give you ideas. You can get ideas just from hanging around people. You can get ideas just from hanging around your kids. You can get ideas so many different ways. I don't know how many inventions have happened because parents were doing something with their kid and they realized, wait a minute, that looks fun. Let me turn that into a toy. And now they have an invention, which is essentially is a business idea. The way that you get business ideas is by finding solutions. Okay, look around you. What is it that you see that is off that you feel like, you know what? I have a better way to do that. I have a more convenient way that people can use to do that. That is a business idea. It's not complicated, guys. You can literally just look around and see different ideas around you. If you've ever been around somebody and you're like, man, that they would do it more, they would do it this way. It would be a lot faster. Or maybe if they did, if even at your job, okay, you could get ideas because you'll see them doing something, be like, that's really slow doing it that way. If you just do it this way, it would be faster. That could be an idea. That might be an invention that you were supposed to invent. All right. So that's how you find business ideas, guys, is by finding solutions. All business ideas are solutions to somebody's problem. It's literally all it is. Whether it's in the form of a service or in the form of a product, it is a solution to something. Okay. Somebody needed to get from point A to point B. So somebody was like, well, let me put this engine on top of four wheels and people can drive. Okay. So we have a car. It's a solution to a need that people have, a solution that either can make people's lives better or a solution that can meet a need. That's all business ideas are, guys. And you can get inspirations even from your everyday life. You can get inspirations also from praying in tongues and letting the Lord download it to you as well. Okay. All right. So it's already 10:15. And for those of you who are not in Patreon, make sure you're in Patreon because, like I said, the next business ideas that are going to be coming out, I am going to be putting those in Patreon. And then we did have some of our Friend of God mentorship classes because y'all know sometimes I record our class. Like the last class we had, we were talking about some deep stuff. So I'm going to have to put that video in Patreon because it can't go on YouTube because some of the stuff we talked about. We even talked about the mark of the beast and some stuff like that. So that video is going to be going in Patreon sometime this week as soon as I get back home. I'm in South Carolina right now. But yeah, so you need to be in Patreon if you want to stay on top of any type of new investment opportunities and things that we'll have coming up. And any videos that are like no holds barred where I talk about some stuff that I can't talk about on YouTube will also be in Patreon. Hmm. I think we're done for tonight, but I see one more question that I want to answer. Let me answer Happy's question real quick. All right. All right. So she's asking, what is the sign that it's time to venture into full time business? Okay. That's a really good question because I see a lot of people who try to go into full time business too early or, yeah. So, one of the main ways that you know that it's time to venture into full time business is okay, well, the income from the business can take care of you. Okay. If you're still, if the business is still struggling to the point where you're still having to so you need to kind of be able to gauge it. Okay, do I need to still have a part-time job while I'm expanding this business so I can be able to pour into the business? Because remember what I said, your business is kind of like a baby. Okay, you're going to need to pour into it and invest into it and nurture it, and then eventually it'll grow big enough to be able to take care of you. So it's just a matter of being able to gauge, okay, is this business big enough that it can take care of me yet? Or is it still in the place where I still need to keep sowing into it and investing in it myself? Because then you'll still need another income source to be able to invest in it. At that point, you can still work a job and do your business until you feel like it's ready. When the business is able to to replace all your income twice, then you're ready to have a full-time business. I'm saying twice for a reason. Okay, because let's say if your household income is $5,000 a month, and now you got your business making $5,000 a month, but it's making $5,000 a month in sales. Okay, not necessarily profit, but sales. It's still not time yet because it still has not replaced your income yet. Now, if your income is $5,000 a month and you want to replace that, when the business gets consistently to $10,000 a month, now you have replaced your income and it's time to go into full-time business. Because I know most people just think about it from the other perspective where, well, I just need to replace $5,000 a month and I can quit. Because cash flow is different from profit. Okay, so we need to keep that in mind as well. I say wait until it's double the income that you're trying to replace before you do it full time. Again, my opinion. All right, so hopefully that answers your question, Happy. All right, so I want to see you guys in Patreon. I'll be looking for y'all in there. And other than that, you guys have an awesome rest of your night. And well, I'll see you guys again before Christmas. So I'll tell you guys Merry Christmas when it gets closer to that time. But other than that, Good night. Make sure you're in Patreon. And if you haven't gotten a copy of my book, Purpose Navigator, for those of you who are still trying to find your purpose, make sure you get Purpose Navigator and you book your one-on-one appointment with me so I can read from your book in heaven and see exactly what it is that the Lord is calling you to do. All right. So good night, guys.
Patience Dean has had multiple encounters with the supernatural, including a visit to heaven where she saw that all of us have a book, and within each book are all of the plans for our lives. She saw that most people are not living their books. So many kingdom businesses, books, and inventions are being stagnated by the enemy. In Patience's powerful encounters with God, she found the place where business and the supernatural converges. Now she wants to teach you how to overcome every strategy of the enemy, to launch that business, write that book, or get patent pending on that brilliant idea. Do you feel out of purpose, as if losing the battle against time? Are the promises of God stagnant in your life? Do you feel a tug from God to start a business? Stop fighting alone and call Patience Dean Studios now. Let us help you break through to live the abundant life that is already written for you.